Your avoidant partner just said the words that shattered you. I have lost feelings. I don't feel the same way anymore. I feel nothing for you. And you're sitting there devastated, trying to understand how someone who seemed to care about you can suddenly feel nothing. But what if I told you that when an avoidant says they've lost feelings, it doesn't actually mean what you think it means? What if those words aren't about you at all, but about something happening inside them that they don't even understand? If an avoidant says they've lost feelings, it means they're highly stressed out, overwhelmed, and emotionally exhausted. Their emotions are hitting such an intense level that they've gone into a numb state, and they genuinely believe the feelings are gone because they can't feel them anymore. But the feelings aren't gone. They're buried under layers of stress, burnout, and emotional shutdown. Let me explain what's actually happening in their body. High stress causes emotional numbness and burnout. When stress stays elevated for too long, the nervous system shifts into survival mode. It's trying to protect you, to conserve energy and prevent complete overwhelm. It dulls emotional sensation. You stop feeling highs and lows. Everything goes flat. You're not happy. You're not sad. You're just numb. This isn't weakness. This is the body protecting itself from total collapse. Prolonged stress without regulation leads to burnout, detachment, irritability, brain fog, and emotional shutdown. And most people have no idea this is what's happening to them. Here's what most people don't understand when they're dating an avoidant. They don't know they're dating someone who has a low emotional capacity threshold. Avoidants are at the top of the scale for burnout because they don't process emotions the way other people do. They hold on to everything. They hold on to past pain, regrets, things they should have said, things they should have done, things they could have done better, things people have said that didn't understand them and ended up hurting them. The body keeps score. Instead of processing emotions when they happen, they numb out, distract, overwork, find rebounds or flings after heartbreak, and never sit with their thoughts, feelings, and emotions. They think staying busy is healing. They think moving on quickly means they're strong. But this causes more harm. It confuses the nervous system. It puts more stress on the body. And eventually the body says, I can't do this anymore, and shuts down emotionally. So why does the avoidant think they've lost feelings? Because they literally can't feel them in that moment. When your nervous system is in survival mode, it prioritizes keeping you alive over letting you feel love. Love feels dangerous when you're burnt out. Connection feels like a demand you can't meet. Intimacy feels like pressure you can't handle. So the body shuts it down. And the avoidant genuinely believes the love is gone. They don't realize it's not gone. It's just inaccessible right now because their system is overloaded. And this is why they tell their partners, I've lost feelings. They're trying to be honest about what they're experiencing. They look at their partner and feel nothing, and that terrifies them because they remember feeling something before. They remember caring, but now there's just flatness, just disconnection, and they don't know how to explain it. They don't know that what they're experiencing is burnout, not the death of love. So they say the only thing that makes sense to them, I don't feel it anymore. Here's what makes this even more complicated. An avoidant can feel this way in a relationship and not say anything for months. They can be walking around completely numb, feeling disconnected, feeling flat, and they won't tell you because they often don't know what's happening. They don't know that numbness and burnout are causing their feelings to change. They just know something feels wrong. They feel guilty for being with their partner because they can't feel the way they think they should. They feel like they're lying by staying. They feel inadequate because they know their partner loves them, but they can't access their own feelings to love them back the way they deserve. This is why many avoidants prefer situationships. They don't want to hurt anyone by not loving them the way they should. They'd rather keep things casual, keep things undefined, because then if they shut down emotionally, they haven't failed anyone. They haven't broken any promises. They haven't hurt someone who was counting on them. It's not that they don't want love. It's that they don't trust themselves to sustain it. They know their pattern. They know they shut down. And they'd rather avoid the situation entirely than risk hurting someone they care about. This is also why some avoidants feel inadequate and unworthy of love. It's because they're numb and they don't feel the same intensity their partner feels. And because they can't feel it, they don't feel like they deserve love in return. They think something's wrong with them. They think they're broken. They think they're incapable of loving correctly. And instead of understanding that they're burnt out and need to regulate their nervous system, they internalize it as, I'm not good enough for this person. So they leave, or they pull away, or they say, I've lost feelings, because they genuinely believe they have. But here's what most people don't realize. They don't always tell their partners when this is happening. They don't know they're burned out and stressed out on life. They don't connect the dots. They don't realize that their ongoing numbing and overworking is causing more burnout. They don't know they have an emotional capacity threshold that they've exceeded because they aren't processing things. The body is keeping everything stacked up inside. And when you don't process emotions, they don't just disappear. They accumulate. They build pressure. And eventually, that pressure becomes so intense that the only way the body can cope is to shut down feeling entirely. Let's go deeper on the phrase, I've lost feelings. When an avoidant says this, here's what's really happening. They're standing in front of you, and they're searching inside themselves for the feeling they know they had before. The warmth, the excitement, the desire to be close, the love, and they can't find it. It's like reaching into a drawer where you know you put something important and finding it empty. They panic, because if they can't feel it, does that mean it was never real? Does that mean they were lying to themselves and to you this whole time? And the fear of that, the fear that maybe they were never capable of loving you the way you deserved, makes them say, I've lost feelings, because it feels like the truth in that moment. But it's not the truth. It's burnout speaking. It's a nervous system in survival mode speaking. It's someone who's been suppressing emotions for so long that they've lost access to all of them, including love. And they don't know that. They don't have the language for it. They don't understand attachment theory or nervous system regulation or emotional capacity thresholds. They just know they feel nothing. And so they say it. And they break your heart. And they break their own heart too, even if they don't show it. This isn't them trying to hurt their partner. It's not intentional. This is an avoidant attachment phrase that comes out when a human is emotionally highly stressed and burnt out. This is not something a person says just to hurt someone's feelings. When they say, I feel nothing for you, or I need space, or I've lost feelings, it's their burnt out nervous system talking. It's their body saying, I'm overwhelmed and I need relief. It's stressed out wording coming from someone who doesn't have the capacity to explain what's really happening inside them. And here's the tragic part. The partner hears, I don't love you anymore, and internalizes it as rejection, as not being enough, as not being lovable. When the reality is, the avoidant is so burnt out, they can't feel anything for anyone, including themselves. It's not personal. It's not about you. It's about their nervous system being in complete overload and shutting down as a protective mechanism. So what does this look like in real time? An avoidant is in a relationship. Things are good. But they're also working 60 hours a week. They're dealing with family stress. They're not sleeping well. They're not processing any of their emotions because they never learned how. They're just pushing through, staying busy, staying distracted. And slowly, quietly, they start to feel more and more disconnected. They look at their partner and they don't feel the spark anymore. They don't feel excited to see them. They don't feel the warmth they used to feel, and they think, oh no, I don't love them anymore. But what's actually happening is their nervous system has been running on fumes for months, and it finally hit the breaking point. The stress from work, the stress from life, the stress of being in a relationship and trying to show up emotionally, it's all too much. So the body shuts down the emotions to survive, and the avoidant interprets that as falling out of love. They don't realize it's burnout. They don't realize that if they took a month to rest, to regulate, to process their emotions, the feelings would come back. They think the feelings are gone permanently. So they end the relationship, and they move on, and they never realize what actually happened. And then what do? They find a rebound, a fun coping buddy, or they throw themselves into work even harder, or they start a new hobby, or they go out and party and stay busy and distract themselves from the guilt and the confusion of losing feelings for someone they cared about. And the cycle continues because they still aren't processing. They're still numbing. They're still overloading their nervous system. And 6 months from now, a year from now, they'll do the same thing to someone else because they never addressed the root cause. They never learned that they need to regulate. They never understood that their body has limits, and when they exceed those limits, emotions shut down. Here's what avoidants need to understand. When you say, I've lost feelings, you need to ask yourself, am I actually not in love anymore, or am I burnt out? Have I been under high stress? Have I been overworking? Have I been numbing my emotions instead of processing them? Have I been avoiding vulnerability? Have I been suppressing how I really feel about things in my life? Because if the answer to any of those questions is yes, then what you're experiencing might not be lost feelings. It might be emotional shutdown. And the emotional shutdown is reversible. Lost feelings, real genuine falling out of love, that's different. That's gradual. That's based on incompatibility or growing apart. But sudden numbness, sudden, I don't feel anything anymore, that's your nervous system collapsing under high stress. And if you're the partner of an avoidant who just said they've lost feelings, I need you to understand this isn't about you. You didn't do anything wrong. You didn't fail. You didn't stop being lovable. You're dealing with someone whose nervous system is in survival mode, and they genuinely can't access their feelings right now. That doesn't mean you should wait around for them to figure it out. That doesn't mean you should fix them or convince them they still love you. But it does mean you can stop torturing yourself wondering what you did wrong, because you didn't do anything wrong. They're just burnt out, and they don't even know it. The solution for avoidance is to stop running. Stop numbing. Stop overworking. Stop using rebound fun flings, people and distractions to avoid your emotions. Learn to regulate your nervous system. Learn to process emotions as they come instead of stacking them up until you collapse. Therapy can also help. Learn what your emotional capacity threshold is and respect it. Take breaks before you burn out, not after. Rest. Sleep. Cry if you need to. Sit with your feelings instead of running from them, Because if you don't, this pattern will repeat for the rest of your life. You'll keep losing feelings for people you actually care about. And you'll keep breaking hearts, including your own, because you don't understand what's really happening inside you. If you're an avoidant and you've said, "I've lost feelings in the past," I want you to really think about this. Were you burnt out when you said it? Were you stressed? Were you numbing? Were you overworking? Were you avoiding your emotions? Because if you were, there's a chance you didn't actually lose feelings. You just lost access to them temporarily. And that person you walked away from, they might have been the right person. You might have just been in the wrong state. And that's a hard pill to swallow. But it's important to understand so you don't keep repeating the pattern. If this resonated with you, drop a comment. And remember, "I've lost feelings" doesn't always mean the love is gone. Sometimes it just means the nervous system is burnt out. And burnout is fixable, but only if you're willing to do the work.